To have that, the fact that somebody's paying attention and that they're expecting you to be there every day and that there will be a sanction if somebody doesn't follow through really is a significant factor in changing behavior. That personal relationship as opposed to that sort of bureaucratic faceless relationship is something that I think is an important part of 24/7.
Distracted driving is a deadly problem in Washington, as too often those who have had one too many find themselves behind the wheel. For this field report, we find out how those who are charged with a DUI in Washington are monitored. It's a topic that is a valid concern year-round, and unfortunately one that motorists have to think about all across Washington: drunk driving.
Drunk driving, everybody knows it's a huge problem. Just in the state of Washington, we average between 250 and 300 deaths every year from drunk and impaired driving. About 25,000 people arrested each year for drunk driving just in the state of Washington. And if you think about just those numbers, I mean, those numbers almost become meaningless because they're just too big. But when you think about 250 to 300 family members, people's moms and dads and kids and brothers and sisters and friends, that are taken away because of drunk driving, it becomes a little bit more real. Everybody knows it's a problem.
Senate Bill 5037 on third reading and final passage.
Drunk driving laws made headlines during the 2017 legislative session as state lawmakers debated and passed Senate Bill 5037, which makes the fourth DUI inside of 10 years an automatic felony.
Drunk driving is one of the most serious chronic social problems. We're still trying to grapple with it, causing literally hundreds of deaths and serious injuries on our roadways every year. The bill before us, it'll be your fourth DUI that becomes a felony. It means you go to prison.
Mr. Speaker, many of you may have heard just the other day in Renton, a gentleman was stopped for DUI. It was his 11th DUI. This is not tolerable in this state. We must protect our citizens. And let me say, this is not an initiative against drinking. We're not telling people you cannot consume alcohol. We're telling them, if you do not get behind the wheel of a car in Washington State.
There is a program, 24/7, that allows the state of Washington to monitor those who have been arrested with a DUI in hopes of preventing another offense.
24/7 is I think, a very effective and sort of a novel approach to the problem. And that is, it is focused on immediate sanctions and constant monitoring. So think of a person who has a significant addiction to alcohol or other drugs. They are arrested for driving while impaired or driving under the influence. Obviously, it's a serious problem, and how do we change that behavior? Research has shown that what's really important is not, well, you know, if you do it again, you might or might not get caught, and if you get caught, then something may happen down the road. Research has also shown that the typical drunk driver, when they're caught, they committed that offense about 80 times. In other words, they drank and drove 80 times before they get caught.
The DUI monitoring program is currently active in Clallam County and the city of Centralia, with a push from the Washington Association of Sheriffs and Police Chiefs to expand the testing to other municipalities. One of the common concerns related to DUIs is what stops a first-time offender from committing another DUI offense.
I mean, the person is arrested, they're fined, they go to court, but what does that mean? I mean, does going to jail for 3 days solve the problem? It may not. Does going to treatment solve the problem? Does getting a fine solve the problem? Does losing your license solve the problem? And the answer is none of those things by themselves solve the problem. The problem is, how do we get people to change their behavior, to stop drinking and driving or driving impaired?
All right, good. Keep going, come on. There you go.
The theory with 24/7 is that the penalty and monitoring persistence could prevent another DUI arrest or tragedy.
24/7 is a sanction or a program that a prosecutor and a judge can impose that's a little bit different. And what it means is you're going to be monitored not occasionally, not randomly, every single day, twice a day, including holidays, including weekends. And so the person agrees as part of their sentence to stay out of jail in the first place, to go in and get tested in the morning and again in the evening at an agreed upon time. This really begins to change people's behaviors because there is no chance they're not going to get caught. They're going to get tested every single day twice. The second piece that's really critical is an immediate sanction. In other words, if they fail, if they what we call blowing a hot sample, meaning that you've got alcohol in your system or other drugs, that the sanction will be immediate. It's not going to be down the road in 6 months when you go to court. It's going to be immediate, and it means immediate jail time because that's the agreement they've made with the prosecutor and the judge. This is different than most other programs because it is quick, it is meaningful, and it changes behaviors.
Finally, Strand told TVW that the 24/7 monitoring program is helping the state reach its goal to eliminate drunk driving tragedies.
Think about the concept of drunk driving, and if a person is impaired, I mean, obviously we all know that's dangerous. Almost 300 deaths per year just in our state from drunk and impaired drivers. In addition, you're seeing more crashes and incidents on the roadway because of things like texting and people on their phones. And if you think about the lack of attention that people are paying out there, and then you add impaired driving to it, it sort of accelerates exponentially the amount of danger that's out there. So really paying attention to reducing drunk driving is something that I think is more important than ever. I think sometimes it sort of becomes part of the static, part of the background because, well, there's drunk driving and there's driving while distracted and we have airbags, so there's fewer deaths because cars are a little bit safer. The fact is almost 300 deaths per year is way too many. More distracted drivers makes it even more necessary, and so 24/7 is one of those solutions that I think can be really effective to making sure that those people that are chronic drunk drivers, people that have a really hard time giving up drinking and driving, are monitored and they have immediate sanctions to change that behavior. That's what's going to really result in the goal for the state of Washington, which is target zero, meaning not 250 or 300. There's no acceptable number of deaths on the roadway because of impaired driving. This is going to start to drive us back down towards zero.
Thanks for watching, and be sure to join us next time on Field Report.